So I recently did a video comparing Streamlabs Desktop and OBS Studio together, and we went over all the ins and outs of both of them, of why one might be more suitable for this particular content creator, and while another one might be more suited for another content creator. We're gonna do that again today, but this time we're gonna be comparing OBS Studio versus Prism Live Studio, and one other option as well that we'll mention briefly at the end. We're not gonna go over all the ins and outs of OBS Studio simply because the previous video does. I'll leave a link up here at the top for you if you want to go check that video out. But we're going to go over all the ins and outs of everything today, give you some ideas of why one might be better for you, better suited for you than the other. That way you can make an educated guess whenever you get ready to set up your stream for Twitch, Kick, wherever you're streaming at. Anyway, let's jump in this video and let's discuss Prism Live Studio and OBS Studio today. So here's my Prism Live Studio setup. It pretty much, if you're looking at it, it looks very similar to OBS Studio. Everything is integrated. There's all my scene sources, my audio mixer. I've got a panel right here that will let me control my YouTube stream in the event I want to multi-stream, which that is completely built into Prism Live Studio. You notice across the top here, you have multiple options. There's Twitch, there's YouTube. In the event you want to add another streaming source, you can stream to however many sources you want to at a time, but all you have to do is click that gear, add channels. And there are all the options. You got Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. I don't know what that other one is. Navier, CHZZK, Navier TV, Band, Soup, Kick, Instagram, and you can add a custom channel there if you want to as well. So that is one really big positive for me when it comes to Prism Live Studio. You don't need a plug-in. You don't need anything like you have to add to OBS to be able to stream, at multiple places. This is natively built inside of Prism Live Studio. So pretty much it looks very similar to OBS as I stated. It does have some really nice features on it that I will show you in just a second. Let me find something and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. So you can essentially drag and drop a picture directly onto your canvas inside of Prism Live Studio. This is one feature that I think that OBS is sorely missing, but it's very simple. Just drag and drop any picture, any video you want onto the canvas inside of Prism Live Studio, and you can just, without having to add a browser source, without having to add image capture or anything like that, just directly drag and drop. This is one of the great features about it, and I really wish they would add this to OBS Studio as well. One great thing about Prism Live Studio as well is the fact that you can use plugins just like you would with OBS Studio. If you look at the interface right now, it's very simple. I have my vertical setup right here on the right hand side, just like I do inside of OBS, and I actually show you my OBS layout once I switch over to OBS Studio. But it supports plugins just like inside of OBS. Whenever you load up Prism Live Studio, it would actually import those. That way you can have them set up inside of there. The Move plugin, the most obvious ones like Atom vertical plugin. We've got plugins for streaming as well. So a lot of different options that are available. One thing that I will say, some of the plugins do not transfer over directly to Prism Live Studio. They don't work as intended. So that is a negative part on Prism Live Studio. If you're using a ton of plugins for your OBS, some don't work smoothly as they should. Another great thing about Prism Live Studio is that if you are familiar with using OBS, you will feel super comfortable setting up anything inside of Prism Live, whether it's plugins, filters, whatever. It's not. This is not going to be an OBS tutorial. If you're familiar with using, filters, it does work. It does support WebSocket servers, so you can use StreamerBot, which is what I use on my profile for OBS whenever I'm streaming. It does work seamlessly inside of Prism Live Studio as well. One negative aspect, I guess you could say, about Prism Live is the fact that some of the plugins do glitch a little bit. They don't work effectively. With a lot of the recent updates to Prism Live, it takes care of all those issues. So I haven't had any crashes or anything like that, where when I previously used plugins from OBS inside of Prism Live. There are some other options built directly into Prism that I really like. If you notice on the right hand side of the screen here, there are a bunch of different buttons. One of my favorite is this right here. This is the draw feature. It allows you to draw directly on the screen, and you can erase it while you're live. You can add more text onto the screen. Nothing needed whatsoever, no plugins. And I can pull the eraser real quick, and boom, just like that, I will erase where I had been drawing on my screen or on my stream. So a lot of the options that are available inside of Prism are super, super convenient. You've got virtual camera setup, a lot of different options down here on the side. You got gifts that you can directly drag and drop on there. So let's just say I wanted to add one, download it, and boom. Now I have a, star fireworks going off on my screen. Very easy, a really nice sticker. And then you just go down here if you want to get rid of it. Just like you would inside of OBS. Click it. Press delete key if you want to delete it. Or if you just want to turn it off, just click the I just like you would inside of OBS. So the biggest plus for me for using Prism Live Studio over OBS is the fact that a lot of the features that require an additional plugin inside of OBS, they are natively built inside of Prism Live Studio for a fact. So let's just go ahead and say I want to multi-stream to YouTube and Twitch at the same time. It automatically creates a chat that will show your Twitch chat and your stream chat for YouTube as well. Whenever you go live, all you have to do is click that, and you can put your chat directly on your screen if you want it, or it will show it inside of the box as well. Then if you want to adversely to switch, there's Twitch, there's YouTube, or there's all of them all concisely put together inside our Prism Live Studio. Again, no external things needed, no external plugins, all in one, which is a great feature of why I enjoy Prism Live Studio. So overall for Prism Live Studio, I think the biggest selling point, for at least for me, is the fact that a lot of features are integrated directly into Prism Live. It doesn't use very much resources when it comes to CPU usage. Pretty much the exact same thing right now. Since I'm recording inside of OBS, it's using about 1%, maybe 0.5% of my CPU. And if you look down here at the lower right-hand corner, let me get my camera out of the way so you can see it. So right here, you have our settings. It shows you your CPU usage, everything you need to know. So for me personally, the interface inside of Prism is much sleeker and much more easier to use and set up. So if you want to adjust your settings, all you have to do is click on that gear right here at the bottom. It opens up the setting box, and you can change all that video, audio settings, hotkeys as well. Everything that should be super familiar for you inside of Prism, just like it is inside of OBS. So final thoughts on why I would choose Prism Live Studio over OBS. A lot of the integration is done really well inside of Prism. That is, requires a plugin for OBS. A lot of the features that you really enjoy about OBS are already available inside of Prism as well. Only downside is that some of the plugins are a little bit glitchy. They don't work very well, or they cause it to crash. In the past, I haven't really had a chance to look at some of the plugins that are available, but I have no issue with the Move plugin, with the Atom vertical plugin as well. The plugins for YouTube and things like that work really well inside of Prism Live also. But again, the biggest selling point for me is just a lot of the features that I really enjoy having in OBS are easily available and built directly into Prism Live. All right, so for the remainder of this video, we are going to be recording from inside of Prism Live Studio. That way you can get a look at what my OBS settings and my OBS layout looks like. And we'll be able to make a decision, an educated decision, on whether you want to use Prism Live Studio or whether OBS is still the streaming software that you want to use for your own personal use. Anyway, let's jump up here and let's switch it out. All right, so here we are inside of Prism Live Studio. And as you can see, this is my OBS setup. Looks relatively similar to my Prism Live Studio. We got almost the exact same thing. We've got our singing sources, audio mixer as well. We've got an Atom multi-stream plugin. So this is how we're going to be able to multi-stream from inside of OBS. Again, this feature is built directly into Prism Live Studio, which is a great feature. However, I will say this about OBS. It is really stable. Plugins are, work seamlessly inside of OBS. I've had no issue whatsoever where with Prism Live, I did have some occasional crashes with some of the plugins using them in Prism versus OBS. Again, it's pretty much the exact same layout, same settings. Everybody is pretty much familiar with OBS. So here's why I would use OBS over Prism Live Studio. First off, OBS is just stable and no issues whatsoever. There are frequent updates for it as well. It's supported across the board by multiple, platforms. So no issues whenever you're setting up a stream or any issues that can be associated with Prism Live. For example, crashes if you like to use plugins. They do work. I haven't had any issues recently with Prism, but there have been in the past where some plugins would call, especially the vertical Atom plugin, it would crash OBS sometimes whenever I was switching scenes too often, or if I was trying to record, say, a video for TikTok or whatever, I have had it crash in the past. I haven't had an issue recently, but again, there is that. Keep that in the back of your mind if you plan on using Prism Live Studio, that not all plugins are supported inside of Prism. So you might be saying to yourself, well, if Prism does all this, why should I use OBS instead of Prism Live Studio? First off, Prism Live is a particular company where OBS is supported by multiple people. It is updated very, very frequently. It offers additional support throughout updates. Plugins work seamlessly, no issues whatsoever, where sometimes you will have issues using some plugins inside of Prism Live. They don't directly correlate over, so you end up with crashes and things like that. You keep that in mind. Which I have had my OBS crash in the past from plugins, but it's much less frequently, and it is updated much more often. But we're not going to go over a full detailed setup breakdown of OBS. This is just giving you an idea of what OBS and what my Prism Live Studio look like. We're going to look at one more today, and that is Maono Studio. I've downloaded. It's currently in beta, so a lot of the features aren't available yet that you would find in something like Prism Live or OBS or Streamlabs Desktop. And we'll open it up and let you take a look at it. And I will say that as far as Maono Studio goes, it's very, very easy to set up, very easy to install. Like I said, it is in beta, so if you go to the website, it does require you to be approved for beta access, which I got beta access. I put in my email. A few minutes later, I got a link to directly download it. But we'll take a look at it and let you make a decision on potentially using Maono at some point. So here we are showing you what Maono Studio looks like. As you can see, it's very simple, similar layout to many of the other streaming applications. You have layers on the side, which are basically your sources. You also have different scenes as well, just like inside of OBS, Streamlabs, whatever you're using. But it is pretty simple to set up. So basically just click. Let's say you wanted to add a video device, click that. And the great thing about Maono is the fact that it actually puts a placeholder and allows you to select the device that you want to put right here. Let me see if it'll show my camera real quick. So as you can see, it's not showing my camera currently because it's currently in use, but it is super easy to stretch, change, adjust the camera. You have these little points right here on each corner that allows you to round out the camera without any additional plugins. That is one great thing about Maono, is the fact that you don't have to have a lot of plugins, because a lot of that stuff is built directly into Maono. I will give them props for that. A lot of things that you require multiple plugins for inside of OBS can be done seamlessly inside of Maono without any issue whatsoever. Maono also has some nice features when it comes to adding sound directly to your stream. If you wanted to, you go ahead and click the down button right here. You can rename it, delete the track, click the plus button, and it does add gain, magic mic, or stereo panner. I will say this about Maono is the fact that you are only limited to gain, the magic mic, and the stereo panner. You have nothing for a compressor. Any EQ is not built into Maono at all. You can't use plugins, which is a really downside for me. However, over the past months, they have updated and added some additional features as well, which make it really nice and work really well. Notice on the left-hand side, right-hand side here, we have this option here to add additional outputs. Twitch is natively available in there. You can adjust the cameras. You can adjust any of your layers whatsoever inside of there. With just a click, you got really easily can set it up. However, it misses out on a lot of features that things like OBS do have natively built in them. So I had to go back and close OBS. I didn't realize I still had it open. So that's why the camera wasn't showing up. But as you can see, it creates a little box and a placeholder for you, so you can drag it anywhere you want to on the screen, just like any other software. Stretch it out, shrink it down. One of the great features about it, though, is you have these little buttons right here on the corner of your window. Let me stretch this window real big. That way it fits directly inside of here. So now that we've got the camera stretched out, if you notice in the corners right here, we have some little small buttons, and these buttons allow you to change the direction or the pinning of your camera. If you notice, it shapes the contour of the camera. So without any plugins, you don't need any plugins whatsoever or any filters. So as I had it set up in Prism Live Studio and OBS as well, it requires a plugin to change the shape and shader filter effects to be able to make a round camera. And all that's natively built in. Unfortunately, a lot of features that are available through plugins for OBS and Prism as well are not available for Maono. So once they get the software up and running a little bit more, and as it progresses throughout the years, I think Meld has some really, really great potential when it comes to being a standalone streaming software that doesn't require any outside access. If you're just looking for a simple setup, Meld will take care of it. It's really simple to set up, really easy to do. And, doesn't require any kind of extreme knowledge to be able to set it up and get streaming or recording videos for your YouTube, Twitch, or wherever you're streaming to. Let's break it down for you. Why would you use OBS? Why would you use Prism? Or why would you use Meld for your streaming software? OBS, for me personally, is I still stick with OBS because of the fact it is super, super stable. Plugins work really, really well. I don't have to worry about any kind of crash or anything like that of that nature. Some things I do miss on it are some of the features that I mentioned inside of Prism. If I were to use Prism, the main reason I would use it is simply because of the fact of a lot of the things that I have to require plugins for OBS. I don't need that inside of Prism. They're natively built inside of, multi-streaming, setting up multiple chats. Things of that nature are just natively built inside of Prism versus OBS. For me personally, though, I'm still going to use OBS because it does what I need. I don't have to worry about, crashes. It's stable. It doesn't use a lot of CPU at all. And it just works. It works straight out of the box. And I'm so used to it now that I don't even think about it anymore. Or now here, why would I choose Prism over OBS? Prism, a lot of the stuff that I really like about OBS is natively built inside of Prism. The fact that I can set up multi-streaming very easily. It does support plugins, though some do cause some issue at some point, or I have had issue with it in the past. Prism works seamlessly. It's easy to set up just like it is inside of OBS. A lot of the features like drag and drop options is a really big bonus to me. A lot of the stuff that I like about OBS, it again is directly integrated inside of Prism, and I don't have to worry about going to outside plugins to be able to enable those options. So if I were to use Meld over OBS, Prism, or Streamlabs desktop, these are the reasons why. It's simple to set up. It doesn't really require much knowledge. OBS can be a little bit daunting when you're setting it up for the first time if you're not familiar with it. It is easy to set up scenes, layers, or sources, whatever you want to call them. It has a lot of built-in integration and allows you to do a lot of things that require you to download plugins or additional options for OBS. However, the key thing for me is that it is missing so many options that I use inside of OBS. Filters, for example, you don't have any filters, real filters for your microphone. Like, you do have the gain one and the stereo spanner, but you don't have a compressor. You don't have a noise gate or any of those features that are natively supported by Prism, Streamlabs, and OBS. So that is one thing that would keep me from using Meld. But if you're looking for a simple setup, you just want to get up, record, or stream, Meld is going to do it for you. It's easy to set up. As you saw, just simple placeholders for everything you set on the screen, and you can go back and change them very easily. So that is it for today's video. Let me know down in the comment section below what streaming software or what software are you using for your live streams, for your YouTube videos. What are you using and why do you use them? Let me know. And if there's something that y'all missed today or a feature that you like inside of OBS that I didn't cover, let me know as well for Prism also. And for Meld, let me know as well. But anyway, as always, much love, and we'll see you soon.